and get these guys perfect. Love it, love it, love it. So, our liquid white, as I was saying, since we're just literally getting started, we're taking our Bob Ross liquid white, very small amount, right? And then we're going to spread it as thinly as possible. That's probably too much. As thin as possible across our canvas. You don't want it to be goopy. You don't want it to be crazy, right? You just want it all thin. And then I'll show you exactly how to test it and make sure you've got just enough. Right? Because if you have too much, it's going to be a big deal. Right? Now, if you do put on too much, you can always wipe it off with a paper towel. But just like that, let's get our sides all finished up. Tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? It's Paint with Josh. We're in the studio with you guys tonight. Gonna have fun. We always have fun out here, right? And I like knowing where everyone's watching from across the world. So let me know where you're watching from. It's almost Halloween, so what's your favorite Halloween candy? Type it into the comments. Now I'm gonna show you exactly how to test to see if we've got enough of our liquid white onto our canvas. Just give me one hot second. There we go. Like I said, I started just a bit too early today over on YouTube, accidentally hit the button and was like, well, can't go back from here, right? So, there we go. Over here, over there, this guy. Now, let me show you how to test this canvas. Okay, anywhere that we touch, different fingers, all over the place, right? We're gonna have about the same amount of liquid white on our fingertips, right? It's not a whole glob. You can even see there's parts of the glove that didn't even touch, right? So you don't wanna have a whole lot on there. You don't need a whole lot, remember that. Not about how much you want, it's about how much you really need on your canvas, right? So, where are you guys watching from across the world? Let me know. Tell me now so I don't have to ask you again. That's a joke, I'll probably ask you 30 times. So, by the way, this painting, guys, is available for sale if you go over to my store, PaintWithJosh.com, right? That will get you in the right spot. The very first thing you're gonna see over on my store is this painting. We're gonna get our Gamblin Dioxazine Purple from the Gamblin 1980 brand. Looks a lot like this little guy right here. Just a little bit of that. We're gonna use our phthalo blue. Gorgeous, perfect, 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 perfect. Let's go back to our 2-inch brush. Right, all I did was wipe off. I cleaned our 2-inch brush. We beat the devil out of it. Cleaned it, dabbed it on a paper towel. I'm gonna get this one little bit of white right here, otherwise it's gonna get on my shirt, I just know it. We're gonna take our 2-inch brush. You're gonna tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? And we're gonna get rocking and rolling, right? Remember, if you're watching over on YouTube, give me that one thumbs up. That's all we need. And then if you leave, it doesn't matter, right? But if you leave before you give me a thumbs up, that's a bad deal. Take a little bit of our pink, our crimson-y color, and you can see how easily it slides across that canvas. Yeah. Super easily and soft. Now the more we mix it in with that white, the lighter pink it starts to go, right? It's not as dark as our initial blast point right there where we had all of the paint onto the canvas and then we started, right? It's very vibrant, very deep, and then it will blend itself out. Just make a little shape, almost like a little heart, right? Oh, so cute. I always like leaving a little bit excess down here because it's gonna get mushed across many more times than the stuff up here is, right? Same brush, same color, haven't washed it. Come over here into our blue. Now we're gonna start dropping in from the top corner so the edges are darker and then it fades into a lighter color the more you go. See what I mean? The more you guys mix it and play with it, the more things that you're gonna find, right? Your favorite color mixtures and different things. I'm gonna put a little bit of that blue all across the sidebar canvas and at least that's finished on the edge now, right? Same thing along this side. Boom. Now, we've dropped off a lot of color on that brush, right? So the more that we mix it, the lighter and lighter and lighter blue it's gonna get. So why don't we go back in here to a little bit of our blue. Start down at the bottom, that way by the time we get up to the top, it will match, right? Super dark, and then it starts to kind of fade into its own self. We don't need it to grow all the way, it doesn't need to be centered, it's fine, right? Don't worry about this at the bottom, it's all good. You don't wanna worry about that stuff. Same brush again. Haven't washed it, right into our Dioxazine Purple from the Gamblin 1980 set. Look at that color, guys. Oh, it's such a cool purpley color. I love it. Same thing down here. So you get that darker purple and let it mix up You can see purposely we didn't let those guys touch. You want to leave a little space in between. And just like that, you've got to finish painting. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. You guys have been fantastic. No, I'm just kidding. Let me wash this brush off, and I'll show you something really, really cool. All right, we'll get a blended out sky in just about 30.4 seconds. Somebody time me. Actually, don't do that, because I probably won't make it in 30 seconds. I got the best brush cleaning sound in the business, you guys. You can't beat it. All right, we're gonna go back to our same brush. Right? We've dipped it into our odorless mineral spirits. What I do is I keep mine in like a big mason jar. It's only about that full, so even though it looks like I'm dunking the brush in, right there, we didn't even touch anything because our level is down. So you dip it in, then you pull it out, and you kind of twist it up in that level that doesn't have any stuff. Otherwise, you're going to slosh it everywhere, right? So we spin it, and we flick it into a trash can, and then we beat the devil out of it into the old bucket. Dab it off on a paper towel, though, when you come out. Gotta dab it off on a paper towel, you guys. Okay, now we're going to go back into our brightest point first, and then we're going to start mixing up that sky, right? Remember, if you're watching over on YouTube, just give me a thumbs up. And then you can leave, or you can stay the entire time. But if you don't give me a thumbs up, oh, that's gonna hurt my feelings, right? Come over here with our 2-inch brush into the lightest part of our sky first. Nice dry 2-inch brush. We're getting that pink, right? Kind of mixing it in with the liquid white that's already there. Everywhere that still has exposed white, it's all wet underneath, right? Everything's wet. So it's going to blend much easier, right? Get out here, start grabbing some of that blue, dragging it in towards our pink, all determining on our pressure, right? If we push it real hard, you can drag a whole streak of blue through there. If you don't push on it real hard, what happens? You're not gonna have all that blue run through there, right? So, your pressure determines what your sky is gonna look like, and then how many times do you mix it, right? You literally mix that whole little blue spot away just by pushing on it with our brush. Okay, so we're gonna come out here, mix it down. Remember, we're not going to go down past half our canvas. This whole thing's going to stay like that till the end because we're going to mush and push on it so many times between now and when we finish that it doesn't matter if we do it now or if we do it later, right? You ever had now and laters? Best candy ever when I was growing up. Look at that. Soft little blue sky, and the more we push on it, the lighter we go, right? So you can go across your pink area and not deposit all that because we're not smooshing on it so hard, right? Come up here into our purple, start taking that, blending it towards that blue, blending it towards our crimson color, right? Just doing that has softened it a little bit, and then you can go back in here. Right? You get to decide what you want it to look like. We want it to be different, right? We don't need it to be perfectly straight, so maybe the blue comes in a little bit further, the purple goes out a little bit further on that side, right? Doesn't need to be perfect. We can always go back with our clouds and really determine what we want it to look like. Right? Isn't that fabulous? Look at that soft little sky out there. Oh, my goodness, you guys. Look at that soft little thing, right? Did you think it was going to look like that? Because it did look like this about a minute ago, right? Trust the process, you guys. Let's come in here and wash this brush off. Right? Dipping into our odorless mineral spirits. Shaking it into the can, into the bucket. Then what do? Dab it off on a paper towel all the time. Now, let's get in here with our titanium white paint, which is a very thick paint in its consistency, right? It's very much like cake icing. It's just firm paints. Look at that. You have to almost like force the brush into it to be able to get it on to that brush because it's almost dry, literally. Right? There we go. It's like that whole bunch of white. It's deformed the shape of our brush because there's so much white in it, right? It's changed, like that's literally what you want it to be like, this crazy amount. And let's say we've got this pink area and then we've got this area up here. So what if we start coming around this way and just mushing on and pushing and spinning our brush? Bang, right? How do you want yours to look? Dump it on and let it get crazy, right? We're literally just trying to get every bit of white to come off of this brush and attach itself onto the canvas. Just by smushing and mushing it up there, right? Then we'll come in with the PaintWithJosh 1-inch brush. These are coming out soon, guys. PaintWithJosh brushes coming to a website near you. We're gonna start to mix down on our clouds very lightly, right? Or the opposite way, dragging them down this way. Get a couple little flips as they go down, right? The more we push on it, the more it's going to mix together. I don't wanna see your fan brush lines up there. I don't wanna see what you did exactly, right? You need to push on it a little bit in order to mix it in, maybe get some of the purple from out here and start coming up underneath. A little bit of purpley shadow just by grabbing it from the canvas. We didn't do anything crazy. I didn't go back and get more colors, right? Just by mixing it, touching into the color up here, underneath. Nice, that little bit of purpley color under there has now added more details to our clouds than we did initially, right? We don't want to just put it up there with the fan brush and leave it. I'm going to put it up there and start mixing it and playing with it and seeing what it looks like, right? How bright you want it to be, how dark you want it to be. You guys get to choose all that. Let's take a little bit of our titanium white. Let's throw an old contrail back in here. Just like that, just by popping it straight out of the clouds. Right? One swipe or two this way, one long like swipe that way, and you got yourself a cool little airplane trail. Mix it up right here where it came out of the clouds. Pop, bang, poof! You guys are amazing. Right? Come down here, let's make one more little section, just one more little baby bit. Come into this white over here. Literally trying to scoop it up onto this brush because you want there to be a lot of white, right? Now, what if we save a bit of this pinky color and we came in down here and maybe popped up and crisscrossed in front of our other little guy, just literally mushing and pushing the paint, right? Trying to get it off of this brush and onto the canvas. Back in here, let's dab off our brush on a paper towel. So just literally mushing on a paper towel. Right? Come up in here, we're gonna be much less heavy-handed, a little bit more light-handed, right, with our pressure. We've got more paint down here than we did up there, so it's brighter, right? We've got less pressure, so it's staying nice and bright white. Over the edge and back again, guys. A Hobbit's Tale by PaintWithJosh. Bang, just like that. Look at that. Fabulous, right? You get to decide what it looks like, you guys, honestly. Remember, if you're watching over on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. If you're watching on TikTok, send me the gifts, tap the screen, comment, all that stuff. And if you're watching over on Facebook, make sure you're using the emojis, doing all the good things you guys are supposed to do. Look at that cool little bit of cloud out there, right? We can decide again, maybe we want to grab some blue from up here on our canvas because it's still wet and pop in a whole little underside to this little dude. Mix it up a little bit, right? Blend it in with our sky perhaps. How do you want it to look? It's all up to you guys, honestly. I gotta step back because the canvas is so bright, right? So bright up here with all this glare that I can't even see. I gotta look at what my camera looks like. There we go. But the best part about the oils is you can mix them and mix them and mix them until they're mixed and can mix no longer. And then they'll all be the same. But you can go back, right? With acrylics, you can't go back. Once they're dry, they're dry. You're like, oh no, that's the worst, right? Awesome looking little deal out there. Now, instead of doing a massive mountain in this painting, why don't we come in just some faraway little trees, right? You don't have to throw a mountain into every painting. And if you do want to see a mountain, go check out my other YouTube videos. We've got about 2,000 videos over there, and I'd say half of them have a mountain in them. Literally. Different kinds of mountains, different colors on black canvas, white canvas, night, day, space, underwater, everything, everything. Lots of dark paint, right? What are those three colors that we mix up in order to create this dark paint? You saw me pull them from right here, right? These three colors, they're always in the same spot on my palette, so you'll be able to tell and remember next time those three colors, right? Wiggling them down. And if you don't know, check the comments, because people are typing them in right now, literally right now. Did you know, according to my YouTube stats, that's literally people are watching, more than one person is watching literally every second of the day. It blows my mind, literally blows my mind. Okay, let's get out here with our brush. Right, nice and overly loaded with that the thick, chunky paint. And then let's start dropping down a little bit higher. I'm gonna try to stay out of your guys' way. You don't have to hold the brush back here, right? I like to hold it up here, but then you can't see what I'm doing. So in order to show you guys, we're gonna start way out here. We're gonna start bouncing it down, right? And you can see instantly the brush starts to get fat, right? Because we're mushing it against a flat surface. So we need to go back in, come back down with our little crazy little trees in the night, right? We don't want them all to be the same size. So we'll start wiggling them down. Maybe they're a little taller, maybe they're a little shorter, maybe this guy's a little taller, right? I'm just kind of making little triangles. That's all we're doing, just kind of filling it in. You don't want to go like this. You don't want to just do this. This does not look right, right? It looks kind of funky, like you're just painting fence posts out there. A little funky. Just gotta tap it in, fill in all the base, right? We're painting these just thousands and thousands of trees that are off in the distance. They're a little bit further away from us. Right? So we'll tap them in over here, over there, maybe a little bit lower. And you don't have to go side to side. I always end up going side to side, but you don't have to. A lot of times it looks cool if you leave a little space on the edge, right? Now we're not trying to cover up all of our pink down here. We're not trying to make them all the same height, right? We're just kind of fill them in, back up, tapping them down, making sure they got a nice little sharp little tip top. And not all of them have to be sharp, you know what I mean? Filling in the base, all we're doing. Tapping it, tapping it, tapping it, tapping it, tapping it, tapping it, tapping it. Where do you guys want it to be? Totally up to you, right? Mush it on. Now, let's go back in with our 2-inch brush, and with a little bit of pressure, enough to have it drag just very slightly out the top, right? Just enough to have it just drag up out the top. And that's gonna soften these trees and push them into the distance, okay? Beyond that, we're gonna go from that very light touch to a very rough, just crazy pressure, right? So we'll come in here, start tapping down, tap down next to it, right? Kind of working our way down. So we'll go down, maybe we'll go up a little bit. And that way we've already got this little dip, right? It should not be straight across. So don't go straight across the bottom and have it look all funky and weird. Just tapping it in. We're only really trying to save about 1 inch or 2 from the top of our trees that we painted, and everything else turns into this mist, right? A little bit of action down around the bottom. Now, if we mix this guy up, all of a sudden, right, we're mixing it in with our little pink color, mixing it in with our blues, and this is why we don't touch the base in the beginning, because we're just gonna redo it. We're gonna go over it 1,000,000 times, going like this, back and forth, which is going to blend this color in together. You can already see it happening, right? So, a little bit of craziness, take away our little sheen of the thing, just go like that. Boom, a really cool little scene. Now, where are the base of those trees? You don't know. Maybe they'd be down here in that foggy mist. That's the best part about it, right? We don't know where it is. That's the cool part, the mysteriousness. Let's get another little bit of our white. Because it's not as misty as I wanted it to be, why don't we come in here, again, just popping and pushing and mushing on our little bit of our white paint so we can come back in here and make a cloud just underneath our trees, right? Just like the mist just rolling through. Now, you can either do it the same way like this, right? Tapping in that excess white. Now that it's up there, it'll look a little bit more like fog, right? Or you can mix it up into a cloud because we've already done the tapping, right? And just use this guy as a little cloud. Which one do you think looks better? Because they should look very similar to me anyway. Right? Yeah, very similar. Both ways of doing it work, right? As long as you got the paint up there, you can tap it down. Do whatever you want to do. You can make your circles. You can do whatever, right? And then very lightly transition back up. Got a very cool piece of a forest back there, right? Awesome little sky, awesome little forest. We've been going for 20 minutes, guys. Come on, you can do this. You guys can do this, I'm telling you. If I ain't told you once, I'm telling you again, you can do it. Very cool, right? Very neat. All right, now let's get over here and let's decide what do we want to have in front of this little guy. And I'm thinking we at least got to have a couple trees to set ourselves apart. But I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think we have enough paint in this pile right here to make some mid-ground trees off in the distance, right? We'll use a smaller brush. That one barely has any paint in it. So we're going to come back in here. You let me know yes or no answers. Man, that brush is a little hard, Joshy. I might not be able to use this brush. Oh yeah, we can do it. Just bash it on there. So, do we have enough paint in this pile, plus what's on the brush? Literally loading it down on both sides so it's nice and thick and chunky and flat and sharp and crazy. Yes or no answers only, please. What do we think, guys? We've got yes, 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 yes. Man, you guys are awesome. Thanks, Vanessa. Appreciate you. You guys. So, we've got some yeses, we've got some nos, so let's try it. We'll get in here with our paint. We're gonna come down maybe just slightly in front of, bang, right? What makes this tree right here, I wanna ask you, what makes this little tree stand out like he's in front of all those other little trees off in the distance? Can you answer the question? Do you have an answer for the question, right? Literally pushing a little bit harder as we go down. Now, this brush is trashed. It's long gone. It was too hard when we put it away, or the paint never came out of it, right? So, maybe this brush will go to the person that buys this painting if you get it during the live show, and I'll throw in the Paint with Josh signed printout, right? To the person who gets this painting during the show. Just saying, just saying. Now we gotta switch brushes and go get another little brush. Here's the guy I probably wanted to grab initially. There we go, same size brush, working down our paint into the bristles of the brush. Now since we've mushed it all up and had a rogue brush take all of our paints away, I don't know if we're gonna be able to make this last little guy, right? I know I want to have a little cabin over here. We've got our one tree. Let's do one more little skinny little guy. Bang, right there next to it, kind of coming down and landing into his own branches on the side. That way they will overlap and crisscross and look like they're growing up out of the same tuft of trees, right? Very cool. Very cool little guy, guys. A little guy, guys. Little bits, and then we'll go back and we'll highlight those guys and make them look really neat. Just really neat. Take our knife straight up through the top, right? Just dragging some of the plaque that's already there, right? Kind of starting in our trunk, just going straight up, creating a really sharp tip top of our trunk right there. Now we need to switch to a much smaller brush, right? We're going to come in to our smaller fan brush. We're going to go over here into our phthalo blue with the liquid white on there, right? That white color is liquid white. It's the same stuff that we started our canvas with. That way, it will thin down the consistency of our paints, right? A couple little shadows off the back side of this guy. We're not really gonna see our entire tree there, but it will thin down the consistency of that crazy thick blue paint to a consistency, a much wetter paint that it will literally drop off of our brush in one little tiny touch. Right? If it's not coming off of our brush with the smallest little taps, as we go down and down and down, then it's not the right consistency, right? You need to go back and change your ratio of your liquid white to the blue. You gotta have more liquid white to make it more runny. Right? So again, liquid white, watch this. Flick, get it to come off. You could never do that with this titanium white. It's too thick. But in order to make it thinner, right, we've got to go back with our liquid white into the titanium white, come up here, and again with the smallest little touches, it will deposit itself off of those trees back there, creating a little thing, just with some white, some blue, and that Paint with Josh plaque mix, right, or a dark shadowy color. Maybe this guy's not going to see all the bits because he's going to be in the shadow of his little friend. How far do you want your little shadows to go down, or your little bits of light to go down? Up to you, but remember, you gotta leave those sections dark in between those trees. They don't like to be overcrowded with the brightness, right? They want to be nice and dark like that. Now, let's come back in here, and we're gonna show you how to make them, right? They're just kind of floating out there in the night, right? So we can come in like this, grab it up, a little bit higher on its one side, lower, higher, right? We're gonna make a little triangle. We'll drag it down, drag it down, drag it down, coming down at this slight angle this way. Start up a little higher, drag it back down. That way you have this rounded thing, which is gonna make our trees look more 3D, right? Than if we were just straight off at the bottom. A little bit higher, a little bit lower, a little bit higher. Makes them a little bit more round, right? In my own brain, anyway. Now, let's come in here, and we've got to take out some of these trees. If we wanted to have a cabin living in here, right? Say we had this guy, ooh, what is this, a little witch's cottage like this. Come down on that crazy little angle, go up like that, right? Just literally kind of scraping away at whatever I don't want to be there. There's not a lot of paint because it's just our mistiness in the back. Turn my knife, pull it down again, pull it down again, maybe one more time. There we go. Go off of our side once or twice, and we'll be all set. Do the same thing with our roof. Down this way. And again, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. But at this stage, if I was like, you know what, I don't want to do a cabin, I could just erase those little scrapey bits, right? All it is, just scraping the paint away from the canvas, right? That's all we're doing. So if I didn't like it, I could get rid of it. Watch this, we'll fill those little spots back in. Instantly gone. Now that I know where I want my cabin to be and I've scraped it out, I can come back in with my Paint with Josh plaque. But we can't do that because we don't have any more of it mixed up. So we gotta mix it up. What are the three colors that go and create Paint with Josh plaque? They go together like peaches and cream, like peanut butter and jelly, right? What are those colors? Come in here, scrape up some of that color, literally removing it from its section. And let's go into the top section first. We're gonna just push hard, depositing the plaque paint, right? All we wanna do is deposit that paint so you have that thick, dark paint on there with our knife, right? Just kind of mushing and pushing on it. Doesn't have to, we're not trying to get it to break or anything like that, just a little bit of craziness, right? Come up underneath our little peak, just like that. This guy's gonna come down. Here we go. So, we gotta have enough paint on our knife. Pull down, just mushing it and pushing down. Make your left side a little bit lower than your right side is. Right? We're gonna do that same little draggy deal. We're gonna start up here, and then it's gonna get lower and lower and lower. That's gonna help make your cabin look more 3D. One little bit off of our backside, just a little 1 to 2 knife lengths. And now we have this saggy roof, right? Like if we did this little angle down here, it was very sharp. We're gonna have to do the same little angle over here, same angle over here, and same angle over there, right? All to play it out. Now, once you have it lined up, all we're gonna do is come back in, fill in just a little bit. It doesn't even have to be overly filled with our plaque. We just want a little bit of shadow in there. And then we're gonna load our snow over the top. Okay? Now, our snow on the back side of our cabin is gonna have a little bit of blue tinge to it because it's in the shadowy side. So we take our white, a little bit of blue, a little bit of plaque to have that kind of grayish blue color, and that's gonna be perfect. Take it, scrape it up, come in here, line it down, right? That little bit of blue snow. It's already gripping on our plaque paint that's already there. Right? And the best part about it, it's just, this whole thing gets all covered up, so you don't have to worry about your whole cabin or your whole rooftop or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be perfect. Bang, slide it down like that. Awesome. Take a little bit of our white, since our white is going to be in the snowy side. And we're going to put that guy over here. Just rolling it down at our little angle. Right? Little things, maybe our little cabin. A little bit of light off the back of this little roof area over here. Little things, right? Nothing too crazy. All of our lights casting in from this one side. Now, we need to mix up a little bit of our snow color, or our wood color, excuse me, and it's up to you whether or not you want to use the brown. Maybe I'll let you guys decide. Should we do an ice cold bluey cabin, right, with freezing cold blue wood and keep it a very limited palette painting, or should we make our wood brown? Right? Up to you guys, literally. It's not up to me, it's up to you. So, I can show you both ways, right? We got brown, All right, we could do brown. We could do the brownery. Let me show you just real quick, in case you wanted to do an icy cold, like bluey type of a wood where it's just so stinking freezing, like in the middle of January, right? You get a little bit of your white, little touch of your blue, and then we can take this off. A little bit of white, little bit of blue, kind of sky blue color, scrape it up, and then you would come, give it a little bit of space, push against it, and as you're dragging it down, and that's going to turn into this kind of frozen, woodsy color, right? The more you go over it, the more ice cold that wood looks, right? Well, we don't want that brightness there now. We're going to do the brown. So let's mix up our two browns, which are Dyke Brown is the darker color, and then the dark Sienna Brown is the lighter color. Don't ask. I don't know why they made it like that. Seems like it's backwards to me, but whatever, dude. Whatever. You know, a little bit of my dark brown, a little bit of my lighter color dark brown. Mix them up over here. All right, let's get that craziness. Over here, over here. Now we want our dark brown that we're mixing right now, currently, both these colors together, to be our shadowy side. So we come up over here, put it down. You can see how dark brown it is. right? But if our sun is casting onto our cabin, we're gonna have a little bit of white in with that brown, which is going to brighten it up. Look at that, right? You decide when you want it to be, what color you want it, scrape it up, literally removing it, right, from our spot, up underneath here, push in, let it come down. Push in, let it come down. Have that little bit of dark shadow up underneath your eave of your house is really gonna help. Turn our knife, push down, right? We've got that thick, dark paint on here, which is going to mix in every time you go over it. It's going to mix it, it's going to mix it, it's going to mix it. So if you put your wood on and it's too bright, you can go over and over and over and it will dull itself down to a darker color. Right, this guy looks like he's missing the side of his house over here. There we go. Tap it in, tap it in. Just going to work this color away. Hey, right there. Along the edge. Right? Very cool. Now you can put a bit of, just a little touch like that on the side. It really helps when you go to pull your painting out, right? Exactly what I was saying. We need to start a little higher and a little bit lower, since we're only doing this one side of our cabin. Starting a little bit higher up there, and slowly getting lower and lower and lower at this little downward angle, right? So we're a little higher up here, a little lower down here. Same thing off of this side. We're gonna start higher up here and end lower down here, and they should both line up. Hey, just like that. Now it looks like, because we've made this little V shape, that our cabin is more 3D than it was before. Very simple. Now let's go back. I don't believe we've got enough plaque there. Maybe we'll use some straight up black and mix it into that Paint with Josh plaque, a little of our crimson. I ran out of blue. I know I'm gonna need to get some more out anyway, but I'm just stalling, right? So let's say we had a little house with our door. Literally remove it, right? Scraping real hard to get the paint to come away. And once it's away, you can come in there with your plaque and line it out, right? Now you got a little opening to your door. Same thing with your window. You want to have a little window, push hard, remove that paint, get rid of it, go back with our plaque, and then write it down, enough on your knife to make it fill in. There we go. Right now, it's very dark back there. Something might be living in there that I necessarily don't want to go and see myself. Are you guys going to come with me? I was like, hey, would you come with me to check out this spooky haunted cabin? Would you go? Because I don't know if I would go. But just that little bit of that V shape, guys, is really going to help make your buildings look a lot more realistically rounded, right? And remember, all of our snow is on this one side, so we've got to take our white, pull it down, really load it up onto the brush. You can see again how it deforms the brush because the paint is so thick. Come off of this guy, pull it down. Remember, don't go like this. Don't pull it down at such a harsh angle, right? Very flat with our angles out here. Very flat, 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 right? Otherwise, your house is gonna look like it's living on this huge hill that nobody wants, right? Nobody wants to live out there. Over there, we slide it over. Let it go as far as we want it. You can let it go off the canvas, right? Do whatever you want to do. Literally 35 minutes, guys, just like this, and we're almost done. Don't you get me started, right? Coming here, a little bit more of our white. Sort of change up our angles, right? So we started a little higher, now we're going to end a little lower down here. Take some of that paint, slide it backwards, mixing it up. It's going to get darker back here. You want it to, right? With that darker paint back there. And if it didn't get darker, you can take a little bit of your plaque mix and just throw that back in there, right? Little things, little things, little things. A little bit of our blue even can make a very cool shadow in your snow just by having some blue in there. Right? Letting it mix in, throwing our white right up along the edge. Some really cool little things, like a little ridge out there, right? You guys get to decide what it looks like, where it happens, what's going on, where the light's hitting. It's all up to you in your painting. I say it all the time. And if you haven't heard me say it, I don't know where you've been, because I say it all the time. A little bit more of that white. Again, each time that you're touching the white to the blue, it wants to go blue, right? So you gotta judge off of your pressures, how far you're letting it go, how crazy you're letting it get, right? We get to choose, guys. That's the best part about it. Now, I need to get some blue and some white out of my old paint box. And while I'm doing that, you got to tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite Halloween candy? let me know. It's almost Halloween, and I still need to stock up on candy. Have you guys bought all your Halloween candy yet? I have not. I'm hoping there's some still at the store when I go. I'm hoping. Ah, that's a cool little painting back there, guys. Oh, we're gonna add birds, don't you worry. The birds are my signature at the end. They come at the end. Boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Now, guys, we got our titanium white. We got our phthalo blue. Remember, if you get this painting, it comes with a used brush that we made a couple of trees with in this painting, and a signed printout of me that you can take into the dollar store and get a little frame for, and really have a good time. Come on here, I need a little bit more brightness. There we go. Very lightly, dumping on a lot of white to have those little angles, those little changes. We didn't have enough on our brush before. Going off back towards the side of our house where it gets very dark. And we can decide where we want to have those little shadows come in. So cool, guys, right? Very neat little thing. Now, here's a really cool little trick to make something look further away and a little bit closer up, right? Again, we can decide maybe we took a little bit of our brown and we have like a little pathway down to wherever. Maybe he's got a little section where he likes to get out and go fish. I don't know. A little pond right here. I'm sure it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it gets down towards the bottom. You don't want it to be as thin as it is up there. Very lightly, swiping from both sides so it doesn't really move in one direction or the other. Over swiping at the bottom where I want it to be. Now here comes the trick, right? We're gonna get a little of our Paint with Josh plaque, very thin, very flat, pull it out, lots of pressure, pushing down on the knife. Come in, scrape up a very small amount. Now, off to this side, we're gonna just almost just touch it and pull away, just like we do with our tree bark. And now that we're getting closer, we're gonna start to drag it down a little, right? So just touching it off there, and now we get in here, we start dragging it down, and drop down a whole nother little section, adding a bit more darkness. There we go. Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, right? The more we do, the more we're gonna do. Our plaque, come down here. Very neat, right? Very simple little way to make like a little ledge or a little water line. And you're like, Josh, what is it? Are you for real? Is that it? Are you, what is going on? What? We're gonna come in with our 2-inch brush. Right? Very lightly up underneath this guy. Just trying to drag down the smallest bit of that plaque, right? Leaving a very small line above. That will indicate we've got some height to our snow, right? It's not just sitting right down on the water. It's got some things up in there. It'll also drag down that plaque color, which will give you a little reflection as you go down, right? Same thing, very lightly, or with enough pressure to get those vertical streaks to turn into horizontal streaks. And now you got a little bit of a reflection of our sky from above, right? Do the same thing if you got a bunch of white onto your brush. Hold it down. Let's get a bunch of white. So we got some white clouds up there, right? So we get a bunch of white, pull it down, grab up right underneath that guy again, and instantly it's already starting to look like clouds above. Doesn't that look so cool? A bit more of our white, just pulling it down, leaving our dark blue sky, because we got our white, right? Over here, very lightly. Instantly, and didn't I tell you we were gonna go across that water so many times that it wasn't gonna make a big deal, or a big deal about it at all, because we were gonna go past it so many different ways and crisscross it and do all the good stuff, right? Now let's get over here. Since we've got our blue back, we need to come back and make some more plaque for our maybe a couple more trees. It depends on how you want it to be, right? I mean, if you ask me, I always like putting a massive, big old giant tree in here, but you don't really need to every time. And I always say in my videos, you don't have to follow along with every single thing that we do. I'm just out here to show you some cool stuff. A little bit of my titanium white, we're gonna come back in here, just along the edge of this guy, just back and forth, scraping it, right? A couple little things. Now, it looks very uniform, so I'm gonna take it and mess it up a bit. So it's not the most uniform of things. That's much better to me, right? We put it up there, and then we messed it up. That's looking good. Guys, all right, let's come in here with our brush. We gotta seal up the corner over here at least. We don't wanna really see behind the cabin. We didn't really finish his roof, right? So we knew we were going to come in, put a little bit taller of a tree right down there. Just because of its height and where its butt sits makes it taller or closer than those trees back there. Very lightly touching. The more we go down, the more you push, right? So your tree will get bigger because our whole brush is now contacting the canvas, right? Every piece of the brush, every bit of paint that we can possibly get to come off is now getting stuck to the canvas. And we got our little tree out here in the night, right? Remember, you want them to be crazy thick in the texture. You want them to be like that. If they're not crazy thick in the texture, then it's not going to grab our highlights so easily like these guys did back there. Right? They don't all have to be the same symmetrical thing, right? Not all trees are symmetrical. You can have it look just like that. It'd be gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Okay, let's see. We're gonna go back to our smaller brush. Over here, we're gonna tap into our liquid white. Just a little bit of liquid white into our phthalo blue. And we need to mix them both together, right? We can't just have one or the other. We need to mix them up. Now, as we come off of this guy, with again, the smallest little tap of a touch, it's gonna drop off of our brush so easily. Right? It's the best part about that liquid white is it just changes that consistency, makes it much more like watercolors to where it's just very runny. Right? And then when you're attaching it to that thicker paint, it just comes off so simply and easily. So easy, you guys. Now get all the blue out of your brush, go back in, liquid white, over here into our titanium white. Again, you can't use just one or the other. You gotta use a mix of both. Come up here and just touch. Now very lightly, tapping off of our little guy, it starts to pick up the plaque. Every time you touch it with that white and a white blob goes off, it picks up that plaque and starts to make our brush darker and darker and darker. Which is fine, because as it goes down, you want your tree to get darker and darker as you get closer down to the bottom, right? That's where all the shadows live, down in the bottom. Now we're gonna go back into our shadowy side, just a couple little taps, filling in a few dark spaces, but not every dark space has to be filled, right? You have to have some spots back in there where you can reach in, or you get your critters to live in there, right? If you don't have the darkness and you just have the blue and the white, you're not gonna like it. It's gonna look very flat. Right, let's pull this guy out a little bit higher again, a little bit lower to a little bit higher. All of a sudden you can start dragging some of this white snow back up into, without even adding any extra paint, back up into the painting, up underneath the tree, right? Very cool little thing. And then wherever your brush contacts, just brush that sucker out. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Very cool, guys. I'm saying, look at this thing. All right, now let's get real crazy, and we need to mix up a big pile of paint, right? Because I kind of want to throw a huge tree into this guy. Just one big old massive tree right here in the front right corner, right? So, you guys, little cabin by the lake. Remember, you got to start coming up with a title for this painting. By the time we get done, right, the person that purchases it gets to name it forever. And if it doesn't get purchased during the show, then we have to come up with it and do it as a group. So, start coming up with titles. What are you thinking this one might be called? You never just can tell with an old Paint with Josh paint. I love this ground. Like this, back in here, and this, all this stuff. It's amazing, right? I don't want to put any bushes along the bottom of it just because I don't want them to overhang into my water. It's so pretty. But we do need to mix up an enormous pile of our Paint with Josh plaque in order to have our big foreground tree, right? And again, you don't have to do this part. You could literally stop your painting and go show it to your family and friends and be like, oh my God, there's no way you did that. You paid somebody to paint that for you. No way, right? But if you want to continue, we're mixing up a big old pile of plaque. And then we're going to throw in our massive tree over here. Now, I love doing these big foreground branchy trees. Ever since I moved out here to Oregon, man, the trees out here are insane. Just literally insane. Thank you guys for all the thumbs up over on YouTube. I just love you. I just love you over there. All right, now we're gonna come in. It's gonna be a little bit shorter, a little bit thinner, skinnier at the top, a little bit thicker at the bottom, but nothing too crazy. All right, so we need to touch the full brush right there, and all of a sudden you got this big old monster tree living in our scene, get a little bigger, a little crazier, right? I know it's a bravery test, but put him in there. You're gonna want it. Now look, you have to have enough paint on the brush and a dark enough color to fill in all that stuff, covering all of our other colors back there. And then I'm gonna show you. It might look really bright on the cameras right now because of the way that the brush is touching it. Does that look much darker? Yes! See that? You don't have to do this part. I'm only doing this so you can see it on the camera, okay? I'm just dragging it over so you can see actually how dark it is on our camera screens. And you can see when I pull it down and all the light hits those little bits, it really brightens it up, but it's not that bright in real life, right? There we go, big old monster of a hump and a bump. Big old thing out here. That's a tree for you right there. Now remember, it is very dark, so even though you might think, or you might be looking at it going, why is that so bright? Let me get rid of all those vertical streaks. And we take away the vertical streaks, and you can actually see how dark the tree is, right? It's a very dark tree. Very dark, very much into the foreground of our scene over here. And it's only the lights that make it look bright, okay? So when you're doing yours, you want it to be very dark. There we go. Now we're gonna take our liner brush, right? And we're gonna put a line around this guy, right? So let's get our liner brush and grab some of our odorless mineral spirits, just like if we were gonna do the branches, which is what we're gonna do next anyway. So grab your liner brush, get your OMS, your odorless mineral spirit cleaner, right? It's that chemical cleaner that we use to get these oil paints off. I'm gonna grab my maul stick just so I have something to, rest my hand on, steady it. And we're just gonna make a little line all the way down our tree. Right? And this is our line that we're not gonna go outside of. Now I've found that, right, I'm twisting the brush too as I go. I'm turning it this way to try to drop off all the paint on both sides, right? That's our line that we're not gonna be able to go past with our highlight paint, our brown wood that we're gonna be throwing on here, right? And if you have this little line of darkness sealing everything in, it's kind of like an illustrator's line, like if you were gonna draw with a pencil your big old tree out here, you couldn't just draw the brown color, you have to have an outline around it, right? So, a couple little bits, and it's not straight, you can have it wiggly, you can have it all sorts of craziness, but now that we've got that outline around it, it's gonna make it a lot easier to highlight, trust me. All right, let's go back, get a little bit more of our odorless mineral spirit cleaner. You need to make sure that your paint is very wet at this moment in time, right? It's very runny. It wants to just go crazy. Look at that, didn't even touch the tree. Off the edge, over here, wiggling them down, then go up, then go straight sideways. You can have little broken pieces. You can have all sorts of things happening on these trees out here. I've been driving back and forth to the coast through the Oregon forest, and it's a dense, just a dense forest back there. Some of the branches out there literally would go across the thing, and they would be thicker than my brush, right? I'm not gonna do that. I mean, maybe we can go. Let's see how far we can roll it, baby. Woo! Just be bouncy, be crazy, right? Go off some long little doers. Down, crossover lines as well. You gotta cross lines back there. That helps push stuff into the distance. Go back and get some more of our odorless mineral spirits. Maybe we had a bigger, fatter branch coming out this side, right? You never know until you get out there and paint it for yourself. Bang! Right? He's really, he's a long old guy. Over there, over here, got some popping out. They go straight out, they go all over the place, guys. I'm not kidding. You can have it look 10 million different ways. You can have 10 million little branches up there. You do whatever you want. Right? Start off the other side. We go over here. We got some just literally straight off. They don't need to line up like this. And no matter where you start, sometimes I'll start in the middle like that just to have the paint come off the brush a little bit before I go outwards into my opening. But you don't have to. And wherever we highlight our tree is where that's going to determine where our branches start and stop and all that, right? Now, I know it might hurt your brain, but you got to give it some broken pieces, literally like just chunks that come off of it in different directions. 'Cause that's what it is. That's all them trees are out there. Bunch of crazy old, chunky old trees. Right, real far, a couple little, tiny little things. Wherever you want it to be, little branches, little things, you guys get to decide. Remember that. All right, let's come off of these guys, give them a little bit of craziness as they extend outward, right? Not every little branch is going to be exactly the same as every other little branch. They're not going to be the same length. They're not going to go the same way. They're not going to look the same. Maybe one goes up that way, right? Looks like they're pointing out towards the front. Out of the front of the tree. This is going to be the best part, though. Are you ready to highlight this guy? Are you ready to highlight him? Me too. Okay, let's get out here and grab up our paint. Right? We're going to need a lot, just a load of our brown that we've got over here from before. Okay, our 2 brown colors. And let's grab some of that yellow ochre too, just a little bit. That's a lot of skin in there. Get that skin pile out. There we go. All right, little yellow ochre, a little of our browns. We're gonna mix them up and mix them down. Right? Now, after mixing those guys, we're gonna get a little bit more of our yellow ochre, slight touch of our white. I'm gonna grab a small pile of this. I'm gonna mix it up over here. See how much brighter it gets? Just like that. That's exactly what we want to have. Now we got our dark side of our tree and our light side of our tree. So let's start on the dark. You can either turn your knife this way and come right up along the edge and just kind of tap and deposit all that thick paint, right? It's going to want to stick to our plaque paint. All you got to do is let it. Right? Come out here, grab it up again. Tapping, tapping, tapping. You're literally just launching a 1/4 inch line. A huge texturous line of paint, right? That's going all the way down our tree. Same thing, but a different angle, tapping it from this side, right? This is where that outer edge of our outline really comes into play. When we did that guy earlier, and we outlined it and said, you know what? This is the very edge of the tree. You might not be able to see it too well, but I'm telling you, it's there and it's gonna help. And if I've done 1,500 paintings, and it's helped me in figuring it out, then you're probably going to want to pay attention. Just saying. About halfway through our tree, just that darker color, 2 brown colors, leaving some of our plaque. And you can even, if you want to add that extra darkness, like little channels, just have that dark plaque paint in there. Right? Now, if we come along the lighter side, again, touching right up along the side of the edge, close as you can get to that edge of your outline, right? But leaving a small little bit. It's all we're ever doing. Tapping it in, tapping it in, tapping it in. Now, we may need, because of the size of this guy, might have to go down, may need to go back and make some more paint up, but it's no big deal. We can always do that over here and over there and everywhere, guys. Boom, boom, tapping in, tapping in. Right along the edge. Now remember, you're only going to want to have that brightness along our one side, right? Just along the edge. Everything else should be that darker brown paint. So if you have to go back and make up some more of our darker brown, we can do that. Come in here. Now, you're literally going to be able to feel the texture on this paint, or on our tree, the bark. It's going to feel like tree bark by the time that it gets sent out to the buyer, if it gets purchased. If not, then I get to sit here and play with all the tree bark. Right? Very cool. Tapping it, tapping it, tapping it, tapping it, tapping it. Little bits. This can take a while because you're launching so much paint at the canvas. Right? It's literally a ton. All that texture, it's crazy right along the edge over here. Now, let's go back and mix up a little bit more of our lighter color of our browns, just because we never make enough, right? Come back in here, just kind of tap it into those shadowy areas, right? The light's not going to go all the way around the tree. Never going to make it all the way around. You got to have a shadowy side, so don't try to let it go more than about half. Okay, now let's get a little bit of our liquid white with our titanium white, mix it up on our knife. Oh, it's very sloppy off the knife like that. Right, scooping up little bits. And let's say we go over the tip tops of some of these little guys. You can even tap it in certain places down your tree. You get this frozen cold little tree. Back in here, maybe it's trapping a bit of that snowiness kind of in between the tree bark. Right? It doesn't have to be everywhere. Little things, little bits. Start tossing off on a couple little branches. Not every branch has to have the same amount of brightness either, right? Little things in the night. You want to have that dark color on your branch, because if you don't have any depth anymore, right? And you don't have to go all the way to the edge either. Tapping in just a little bit of that white into our bit of our tree, right? Gives it that little brightness boost. It's just a super brightness boost over here. Remember, not everything is going to have the same amount of snow on it, right? Not every branch is going to start from the same spot, vice versa, blah, 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 right? You can get it right up in here, and if you get it into your trunk with the brightness, make sure you have the darkness underneath. If you don't have a dark spot underneath, then your branch is just going to look strange. Right? It's just going to look like you've got too much bright and not enough shadow under it. That little bit of dark really helps. Now, come off of your blue side or your shadowy side. Tap on a little bit of that blue. Right? Not everywhere is going to be seen, so we don't need every place to have the same amount of stuff on it. Everywhere, here, there. There's a little touch of white way out there on the edge of that branch. Maybe by the time that we're way out here, we're starting to pick up little bits of white on the edge of this. There's a little touch of white way out there on the edge of that branch. Maybe by the time that we're way out here, we're starting to pick up little bits of white on the edge of this branch. Right? We decide, guys. I don't know how many times I've said that, but we do. Touch of our brown in here. Here we go. Bit coming out of our tree trunk, heading out into the light. Now here's a real cool trick. If you start out here, right in the center, just give that bit of branch some life to it. Come off of it, right along the top of it, and then riding along the edge, it'll look like that tree branch is coming out of the middle of the tree and poking back towards us. Right? If you end up getting too much white in there, take some of it out. Very cool. It's all about where you started, right? Where are you starting? What's happening over there? Got a little bit of our brownish back into here, just on our bigger guys. Again, not every piece is going to be covered, plus we're going to go back over it with our white anyway. Maybe out in places where it's catching some of that light. Oh, fabulous, right? Just fabulous, guys. You can leave some of them straight up dark. They don't all have to be the same. Right, come off of some of our bigger guys with that brownish color. Again, doesn't even have to be the same brown color. It's going to change every time that you touch it onto the canvas. It's going to pick up some places. It's going to lose some places. All we need is a little bit of brown, just right on the top of it. Right? That way they look more rustic. Get a little crazy bit of texture everywhere. And they'll look a little different each time you do them. You're never going to get the same look to your branches, right? And that's the best part about it, is they'll never be exactly the same. You won't be able to paint them exactly the same the next time you go to do it. You know what I mean? It's just perfect. That way, each time you do a painting, it's going to be unique. Each time we do it, guys, it'll be unique. This is just that brown color, by the way. Just off the back side. Very cool, very spiky and sharp. Some of that brown off of here. Again, remember, you want to have little bits that just poke out. You don't want everything to be this perfect little branch. You gotta have some broken stuff in there too. Oh, the broken bits. Those are my favorite. Back in here, this little guy. Take him over to that side. Over there. Right? Wherever you guys want them to be. A touch of our brown coming out of our trees over here. Very cool. Very neat. Very, very neat. A bit of my white. Hey, you guys. So, if you want to grab this one, go to PaintWithJosh.com. I'm telling you. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Now, with our very last dark paint that we have out here, right? Let's take a little bit of our three favorite color mix. Let's just have a couple little bushes down around the bottom of our tree down here. We don't need anything crazy. We got our big thing happening, then it's got a little river to go around, right? All up to you and how you want it to look. Get a little bit bigger or trail off a little bit smaller. Again, all up to you guys. Now let's wash the darkness off of that brush. We'll go back in with our brightness and we'll be all set. Okay. So you guys start coming up with a title for this painting because we're nearly finished and I need your guys' help. So, come up with a title. What do you think it should be called? And we're going to come in here, our liquid white, a bit of our titanium white. Go on to our snowy side first, just kind of tapping in above, letting it roll down. We don't need every little bush to have the light, right? Couple little pieces. Not everywhere is going to be the same amount of brightness, so you don't have to focus on it all being perfect, right? A little of our blue, tapping off onto this side. Again, you don't need a whole lot. It's behind that tree. Maybe you came out and you had a couple little bits of brightness right along the edge. Just little things. We get to decide, guys, what it looks like. So, next time you do it, you choose, here we go, one of those little bluey shadows back in there. You choose what it looks like, okay? All right, so come up with a title. Hit me with it. What do you guys think we should name this one? And if you want to purchase it, you get to choose that title for it. If not, we'll come up with it as a group. So hit me with the titles. So what do we got? What do we got? What do we got in the comments? Man, that's a cool looking tree right there, guys. Cool looking tree. So hit me with your title. What would you call this painting? If you were me and you had just finished it, you're like, you know what? I need to come up with a title that's going to last for the ages. Right? What would you title it? Type it in the comments, and we may just go through and do like a random pick. So if you don't write it in the comments, you're never going to be randomly chosen, right? God, so many brushes to clean up, guys. So many brushes to clean up. We got a little cabin back there. Whisper of Winter. Awesome. Winter cabin. Wolves got him. That's a funny one. Yeah, the wolves got him. Got him, you guys. Let's get over here and grab a couple more of these brushes to clean off. Trying to get all that plaque out of there. There we go. So hit me with your titles. Give me about 30 more seconds. Finish cleaning out these brushes, and then we'll be ready to go. Oops. Man, I need this many brushes here. Winter paintings always get the dirtiest. So, what would you title this painting, guys? Tell me in the comments right now. I can just feel like an author just came in the comments and was like, you know what? I've got the perfect title for this. Alright? Tell me in the comments and maybe you'll be chosen for a shout out among all the comment suggestions. Alright, let's see it. Throw the old birds in here. Just a couple little cacas flying through the sky, guys. Very small on the amount of paint, because you don't want them to be too big or get too big, right? If you have too much paint on your brush, they can get big on their own without you having to do much. So, a little bit of this. Let's throw the old signature down on this side. Right there. It was fantabulous. That's the best part about that liquid white too. You're signing it with your liquid white, it literally wiped right away like it was never even there, guys. Down here. There we go. So, what do we got for titles? My guys and gals and painting pals, let me know what you would title this painting. If you had just purchased it, if you had just painted it yourself, if you were me and you were like, you know what, I would call it this. Let me know in the comments. We just might see your comment before everyone else's. All right. It's the last of the brushes, guys. Okay. All right, what do we got for comments? Let's see the titles. Icy Cabin Fever. Does it say Josh's overnighter with... Get the hell out of here. Let's see. We're in the U.S. as well. I'm out of Oregon. And we ship worldwide. So head over to PaintWithJosh.com. Grab this painting. Ooh, Whisper of Winter. I like that. Who said that? Pilar? Bang, let's call it that. Very cool title, guys. So, let's get over here, turn this thing around, sign it, and call it done. You guys have been amazing. I can't wait for your versions of this painting. Please send it over to, here we go, Facebook.com/officialpaintwithjosh. or Instagram.com/PaintWithJoshK. Those are my pages over there where you can receive photos, and I would love to see your version of this painting, of any of the other paintings that I've done, or the tutorials that we have. I can't wait to see them, so send them in to Facebook.com/officialpaintwithjosh. This one was painted on 10/25 of 2023. And we're all going to go to PaintWithJosh.com. Guys, fabulous. All right, we're going to do the last bit. Tip top of the canvas and we'll be all done. Oh, Setarooski. And some paint to work on it with. There we go. This is that dry spot of my canvas, right, at the very tip top that didn't have any of our liquid white base coat on it, which makes it very hard to then fill in after the painting is done. So you want to make sure you're covering the sides with that liquid white too. There we go. Look at this guy. Fantastic. So, you guys over on YouTube and Facebook, you've been amazing. I love you. I can't wait to see your versions. Send them in to Facebook.com/officialpaintwithjosh or Instagram.com/PaintWithJoshK. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day and bye. Boosh, guys, it's over. Holy moly. Oh. All right, here we go. Got those two. Get them out of the way. I'm going to spin you guys around just real quick. Over here, over there. How's it going, everybody? Hey now. There we go. Awesome little scene. Came out fantastic. You guys are amazing. Just love you. Love you all so much. Thank you, Mindy. Can't wait to see your guys' versions of this one. And yeah, it came out amazing. Look at that. My camera can't seem to hold it straight. There we go. But came out awesome, you guys. It's awesome. Now, one rogue bard. I know. You can't take the bait every time. You literally take the bait every time. I know you already know. So then it's no fun. Right? There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Post. Got that. We're all good over there. You guys are awesome. So, just so you know, if no one told you that you're awesome today, you guys are fantastic. Here, and wipe this guy off. We're all set, guys. So, Friday night freestyle came out pretty cool. Pretty cool. It was very messy, though. Lots of cleanup to do with this painting today. Just too messy. Still got paint everywhere. So, you guys, what do you think? How'd it turn out? Blue likes it. Appreciate you. Love you. Love you, love you. Thanks, Jazz. Appreciate you. Say that old-time country boy. Old-time country boy. Thank you guys for your kind words and comments. So we just learned how to paint this one. If you're just tuning in, we just learned how to paint this guy in just about 70 minutes, maybe 69 minutes. Took us to paint this thing, so very cool. Thanks, Alec. Love you, Gabby. Oh yeah, Tridgeway. Gotta love it. I love the shadow and then the catch of light out here. So it's just really neat. Really neat, guys. So, I love you guys. You guys have been amazing. Like always, you're always amazing. All the time. Every time I come and do a show, you guys are always here. Making me smile, man. So, there we go. I'm going to toss just a couple little bad boys off this huge guy. Right, if he had this long of a branch, he'd have some little branchies coming off of him, I believe. There we go. Okay, so the price will drop on this one about $30 as soon as we end the live show. If you get it during the live show, you get a chance at a free Spinny Winnie Wheel gift. If not, that's okay too. You can spend $30 less and not get a free gift after the live's over. Right? So, I love you guys. I can't wait to come back and do it all again. Maybe we'll do like a lava, yeah, like a volcanic seascape in reds and all sorts of stuff. Do my juggling act anymore? Do you think I kept up on my juggling? Why would I ever do that? Hey, ooh, about hit the painting. About hit the painting. No, I still juggle. I keep my balls hanging around every so often and we'll break them out and do the old juggling bit. In any case, I've gotten much better too. Woo! Hello, you guys, up to the ceiling. So, enjoy. Yeah, I know, Cosmic. Enjoy. Whoop, hey now. So, in any case, you guys are awesome. No more juggling. We only juggle when the painting sells, okay? No juggling. But beyond that, I love you guys. I can't wait to come back. We'll do it again. Maybe do a volcanic seascape, kind of like the seascape from last night, but in reds. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool. So, oh, Todd, no, I put them in my backpack when I travel. That way they're just not out. But beyond that, I do love you guys. I can't wait to come back. We'll do it again in about, what would you say? An hour and 15 minutes? Maybe to an hour and 15, right? So until I see you guys again next time, take the ball pack. Take care. Have the rest of a good day and bye.